say?
Can you guys all say team say on 3? 1, 2, 3.
If you have questions, reach out to a rehabilitator before trying to help an animal. Just reach out to make sure we're all on the same page and you got the right idea.
So what are we doing? What do you have under there?
This is a goose who got hit by a car and has a broken leg. And with birds, you keep their wings close to their bodies so that they can't flap around and break their wings. And wild animals, you always want to cover their eyes so that they don't get really afraid and really upset.
You've done this before. I can tell. How many times?
I was a wildlife rehabilitator.
Well, I'm Marianne with Teen Say. I'm so excited to meet you. You're the owner of A.E.R.O.
Yep, it's A.E.R.O. It's Animal Education and Rescue Organization.
So, can you tell us more about your organization?
We are wildlife rehabilitators, which means that we take animals that are injured out in the wild and we provide vet care and rehabilitation to get them, recovered and back out to where they came from.
Wow. So what does it take to be a rehabber?
You have to have some kind of medical background usually. Some rehabbers don't, and they start out as just an apprentice. So you go to somebody who already has the know-how and they have a license, and you work under them for 2 years usually.
Got here so fast.
Was he pecking at you?
Not yet.
All I covered is face first thing, so no.
Aww.
Protect the animal.
Tell me something.
We're gonna take him to the vet.
You can see that Blue has a little chip at the top of his shell where he was kind of chewed on by somebody.
Oh.
But sometimes they do really well. They recover really well and they can go right back out into the wild.
So Casey, how long does it take to do what you do?
Even though it takes a long time to be a rehabilitator, we have several opportunities, volunteer opportunities, that only take a few hours of training before you can help out. And one is the helpline, which is what I do. And all that was a few hours of online training. Because you don't have to know every single thing about wildlife. We have materials that I look at when I'm answering calls and answering questions. And all it is really navigating and knowing which resources to connect people with. And then if you have a car and are able to drive, we also have an opportunity to be a transporter. And what they do is they take the wildlife from our partner vets and bring it to our rehabilitators at their homes.
Is there anything you want to share with us?
If you have questions, reach out to a rehabilitator before trying to help an animal. Just reach out to make sure we're all on the same page and you got the right idea. Leave a voicemail on the Wildlife Rescue League helpline. I know it's if you have an emergency, you hit this turtle with a car and you're panicked, they really are there listening to voicemails. So leave the voicemail and you will get a return call.
Yeah, very promptly. I was impressed.
Hi, I'm Marianne with Teen Say. Oh my gosh, you cannot believe what just happened. So we were doing our daily walk, walking by the lake, taking pictures. We were watching this herring that we see every day, this beautiful bird, take a look. And then he falls in a hole. So what do? Oh my gosh, he's flapping. We want to help him. We can't get close. My husband tries to get close. He's flapping like crazy. So we helped rescue a goose a couple of weeks ago. So we knew that you had to get a sheet. So we ran into the hotel to grab a sheet. And when animal control came, the firefighter that was here also threw the sheet onto him and they got him out of the hole, which you're going to hear more about. But one thing I want to stress is this. I learned something. So it was crisis time. So I start looking at my phone. Oh my gosh, what's animal control's number? Oh my gosh, should I call the Animal League? So I called the Animal League. You're getting an answering machine. So I think the Wildlife Animal League, I would call them if you find a baby squirrel in your yard, if you find baby birds and you have time and it's not crisis, and you found a stray animal and you're helping it and you have it in a box, great, call them. But here's the thing. In a crunch, in a hurry, the crane is going like this, can't get out of the hole, and you're like, who am I gonna call? I'm calling everybody. 911, dispatch, I'm like, I have an emergency. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to call you, and they sent officers on the way, and then I call back, and dispatch was really nice, and they're like, it's okay, they're on their way, do not go near the herring, because the beak, and the wings can really hurt you if it gets aggressive. So it was incredible, but I would say 911 help, and they will get you to the proper people, and then later they will get wildlife rescue or rehabilitators on the scene and take care of the animal after it goes to a vet and gets the proper care it needs. So wow, oh my gosh, 2 rescues! I feel like, wow, I should get some training. Okay, well, keep making a difference out there and take a look at this video of the firefighter and the police officers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all right, it's all right. They're trying to get the legs out of the hole. Yay!
Okay. Yeah. She got stuck in the grass. Probably, yeah, she'll probably turn around a little bit.
Do you think it's broken?
No, he's pedaling with it. Yep. So, that was easy.
Some police officers from animal control don't just come and say, you know, does your dog have a license? Was your dog running free? No, they're out there helping you. They're doing rescues. They're really nice. Listen to what this officer has to say about even becoming a police officer and then getting additional training to be an animal control officer. So they're police officers with additional training. Thanks for watching. Hi, officer. How are you?
Good, ma'am. How are you?
Good. So, you're with animal control?
I am. I'm with the Fairfax County Police Department in their Animal Protection Division.
Okay, so do you do both animals and people?
So I am a patrol officer out of the West Springfield District that is also cross-certified with animals. So when they need me or there's a vacancy, they call me to come in and help them with staffing and provide care for animals.
You were just so brave, like I was scared.
So we're trained through a series of field training and classes on what to do with specific animals. Also, a lot of it comes from experience of watching more seasoned animal protection officers. They used to be called animal control, we're now called animal protection because people kind of don't think that we do the protection work as well, but we're both. So we not only control, nuisance wildlife and other wildlife that Virginia gives us the ability to do, but we also protect them and do what we can do for their well-being and their humane safety.
Yeah, that was awesome. So what is he? He's
So he looks like an adult blue herring. So he is a bird that has very long legs, so he stands up and eats small fish, insects, some plant life, but mainly he skims off the insects and the fish.
So, what did you have to do there? I saw you using that stick. What is that stick called? Does it have a name?
So this is what's called a catch pole. It's got small rubber pads on the end, and it's got a T-grip handle, which will compress and cause it to close. We used this because there was a small hole that his leg was in, and it helps reach down in the water and in the hole and grab a hold of what he was caught on, which in this case was roots and grass, and it helps shake that loose roots and grass free. Then you can reach your hand down in there and kind of help him along. I like reaching my hand in because it ensures that I'm not just pulling on him. So
Yeah.
make sure he's safe and he doesn't have any sort of major injury down there.
So did you actually grab the roots and grass, or did you grab his, like?
Both.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it depended on the time frame, but first I grabbed the roots with this and kind of sheared them away down underneath the water where he was stuck, and then used my hand to scoop his legs out from underneath him to help get him up out of that hole and on his way.
Wow. That's awesome. You guys do awesome work. Thank you,
Thank you.
so much. So you're Officer
Duck it.
Tuckett?
Duck it.
Duckett.
Like the thing that goes quack quack and
Okay, Officer Duckett. Do you want to tell kids anything? So I called 911, regular 911,
Right.
because I couldn't find the animal control number, and they dispatched me right to you and had
Right.
you come right away and told me not to, I guess, could he bite me? What did you?
So They're not known for being able to bite. However, they flap their wings in defense and try to get away. But he can be sort of aggressive because male birds, that's what they do. You know, most male species of animals are a little bit more aggressive. So they try to get away, or if they have to, he'll flap his wings and throw his head down on you. So just the sheer force of the wings and him throwing his head down could push you into the water or cause you to get a bruise or a bump.
Gotcha. So we should just wait for you guys. And you guys were really quick too.
Right. So there's one of us for every 2 district stations in Fairfax County. So we cover a great deal of mileage. It just happened to be that I was quick.
Very.
Close by.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Because we were going to be daring and try and help him, and dispatch was like, no. They're on their way.
So you can reach us a couple different ways. If it's an emergency, we recommend that you call 911. That'll get you in touch with our dispatch center or DPSC, and they can dispatch an officer or an ambulance or whatever you need at the time. They make that determination for you to try to help you. Or you can contact us at our non-emergency number, which is 703-691-2131 if you're in the area. And that you also speak with the dispatcher then, but it puts it more on a non-emergent side. So if you have a general question or you need an officer to come out for a service, you can call that number as well and we can come out. We also can reach us if you just have general questions or want to know more information. We have a website, a Facebook and Instagram, social media accounts throughout various platforms, so we can do that as well.
Awesome. And how long does it take to become a police officer and then to become involved with the animals?
So to become a police officer in Fairfax County, you have to go through a hiring process. That time frame varies based off of the load of people that we're going to hire. There's several things you have to do: a background investigation, financial investigation, psychological exam, as well as submit a letter that you're interested or a resume. Once all that stuff's completed, then you'll go through a 6-month academy, and then you'll go through a field training instruction period, and that time frame varies. Generally, if you have experience from other departments, it could be slower, but there is a minimum time frame for that as well. So the officers that you see out here have about, on average, a minimum of close to a year of time in the department, and it's something they really want to do by the time they get out.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And then to become an animal officer, so full-time animal officers have to go to a state school, which certifies them in handling animals. Those of us like me who do it for overtime and kind of help out with staffing, we went through about a 6 to 8 week field training period where we rode with an experienced animal officer. So to add on to that, it's about 2 years by the time we see one of us come out.
Wow.
So when we're actually fully certified out with a little bit of experience.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and for doing everything you do in your service.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, officer. So, Captain, you're a firefighter too, and today you're out on a walk with your dog and you got to help with the rescue of a herring.
Sure did. Beautiful heron around the pond, doing its leisure snacking and chilling. It was also taking a stroll along the same pathway, and as it was walking down the shoreline, it just went whoop, down in a hole and couldn't get up. So I had seen a video of how you rescue birds on your network, and went to the neighboring hotels to see if they could borrow a sheet to help in the rescue. We got a hand from Animal Rescue when they got here. So a little tag team effort. It was an easy extrication. The leg was stuck deep in a hole with some roots, and it was easy.
So yeah, we heard last time you covered the beak. So I couldn't tell from when I was videoing. Did you have the whole bird covered, beak and all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wingspan.
So how could you get, like, how did he not get tangled? How did you guys get the sheet off of him? So I saw him get in the water, but like, so you didn't have like the whole sheet open.
Right. A good portion was covering his head and his wingspan.
Yeah.
Still had some sheet left where we can control it, but he started obviously being fearful of the two-legged giants. Started wrestling and trying to escape. Thought he was going to get hurt by us, but we were only trying to help him. And by doing that, he got closer to the water and extended his leg. We could see down in the hole that his leg was stuck. with him covered in sheet. I had the sheet. The officer used his gloved hand and
The grabber, yeah.
pull it out. So it was a piece of cake. Worked out.
Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We are wildlife rehabilitators, which means that we take animals that are injured out in the wild and we provide vet care and rehabilitation to get them, recovered and back out to where they came from. It's kind of a big step process, and there's a lot of people involved. Even for something simple like a baby squirrel, there's a whole lot that needs to go on, and we try to get all the boxes checked so they can go out and live their life out in the wild.
Wow. Okay. So many questions come to mind. We did speak to Casey yesterday, so we have some information on the hotline. So we did share all of that, so you don't have to. So tell us, when did you start the program?
Oh, probably about 10 years ago. I've been working in vet clinics for about that long. And when I first started, we would always have the public come and bring us animals like a turtle that they hit with a car, or, a baby squirrel that they know the cat that got the mother, things like that. And even in vet clinic settings, nobody really knew what to do with these animals. Even the veterinarians, they're trained for domestic animals or farm animals, and they don't really have a lot of wildlife training unless they do a specialty with it. So once we kind of figured that, I just thought there has to be more information. And I started poking around, and I met wildlife rehabilitators, and most of them have been doing it for years. And they were a lot older, and they were just saying, like, we need help. There's nobody new coming into this program, and it's kind of phasing out. They're burning out. And so I ended up apprenticing.
You gave them a venue.
That's right. And so once you offer to help, they're like, yes, please. The more the merrier. And that's kind of how we got started.
Wow. So what does it take to be a rehabber?
Rehabber. So you have to have some kind of medical background usually. Some rehabbers don't, and they start out as just an apprentice. So you go to somebody who already has the know-how and they have a license, and you work under them for 2 years usually. While you're doing your 2-year apprenticeship, you are also doing education. So you're taking classes, you're talking to veterinarians, you're really branching out and trying to get to know the animals that you're working with, as well as the laws that are all, surrounding them. There is a lot that you wouldn't even think about, that goes into wildlife rehabilitation.
So
not only
is there a program like at Nova? Or
unfortunately, there's not, and I wish there were. I wish that there was more formal
something
education.
else you need to start your own program.
I know. Believe me, it's on the list.
Wonderful. I love people like you. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Okay. So what are the classes that you're referring to then? What classes are they taking?
So it's usually led by doctors or other rehabilitators who are really interested in a certain field. Like, for instance, I do a class on baby bunnies, and I teach other rehabbers how to raise baby bunnies and how to acclimate them to the outdoors, because some rehabbers have just worked with birds or just worked with turtles, but there's a big need for baby bunnies. So, and most people when they're first starting love the baby bunnies because they're so cute and cuddly. But there's a lot more that goes into it than you think. So we all do a presentation, we do different like courses, classes, even some of them are just day long, some of them are weekends, So it's very, very interesting, and you get the other rehabber's perspective. It's really nice.
So can a rehabber actually, so if a teenager is interested in this, in doing this, and let's say they're in the Nova 2-year program, right? And they wanted to work with you guys. Could they work with you guys, let's say junior year, or when they're in the education classes, the veterinarian education classes at the high school?
Of course. So what they would be is a caregiver. That's a different license than the actual rehabilitator, and you only have to be 16 to get it. That means that they can come into our house, they can handle the animals, they can feed everybody, help clean cages, which is a big one. Sometimes really simple things, but stuff that we really need help with. Not just caregiving, but even working the helpline has been a huge with the Wildlife Rescue League. They have the helpline, and they'll answer all of these questions, but it's hundreds and hundreds of calls every month. So it's definitely a fun one. And we have a 16-year-old volunteer, and he will.
They do an internship with you, right?
That's right. We also do an internship program. That's for 18 and over. The internship is a little more geared towards people who want to be rehabilitators or who are going for a degree in animal sciences, like the technician program at NOVA, the veterinary technician.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get out before, but it just.
I knew what you meant.
Thank you. Wow, that's great. So why couldn't they do it? Why couldn't they do some kind of, maybe you can, since it's your company, they couldn't do an internship with you in high school? You know how they have their hours?
So I have National Junior Honor Society, I believe is the name of it. I have some of those volunteers who do come in, and they put it towards those hours. So if it is an accumulation of hours that they need, I suppose we absolutely could take on volunteers. Even I had an Eagle Scout come and do an Eagle Scout project with me recently. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of hands involved, and he really got all the details and stuck with it. It was very impressive. So if they have a proposal for an idea, I'm happy to look at it. And I'm sure a lot of the other rehabbers are too.
Wow. You're a great owner. See that? You just have to ask, right? You just
That's
have
right.
to
You
ask.
just have to ask.
And you just have to try and start something, which is what I love about you, because that's what I'm constantly preaching, you know?
Yeah.
Just try it. It starts with a dream and then becomes a reality, right?
That's so true.
Do you see yourself getting as big as you are now?
No. In fact, I when I first started, I was so excited to get started, and then I didn't realize what a need there was. And I'm still, like, every day I wake up, I just absolutely love doing this, and the need is huge, and there's so many people who want to help wildlife, and they never even knew how to get started. So I really try and hone in on that and train them and do whatever it is that it takes to get them kind of more involved in helping out, so we have more hands.
Right. That's great. What's your background? Do you have a medical background?
So I've been working in vet clinics for 10 years.
Okay.
And I've just been vet assist and doing tech work at vets, and I volunteered at animal shelters, things like that. And yeah, then I just really found what I loved. I loved the wildlife, and I really just went towards that instead.
Right. So you're a nonprofit, but back to the question. So how do rehabbers make money?
No. So because I own a nonprofit, we can take donations. Other than that, the rehabbers take these animals from the public, and 9 times out of 10, they're working out of their own homes, and they are paying for everything out of pocket, and they are volunteer only.
Yeah,
so, you know, it's important to remember that too, when you have that baby animal and you're like, well, how's it doing? What is going on with it? You know, like, that person's volunteering, and they are putting, you know, all of their effort into it. You know, we really do our best.
That's why I had the dog that I had for 10 years. I rescued her on the side of the road. I was in Queens, New York, and I was at St. John's, and no pets. So I had to leave my apartment, forfeit the rest of the rent that was paid. I called one of the rescues there, and they were going to put her to sleep because she was 6 months old, had nipples, had already given birth to puppies somewhere in some cemetery. They said they thought that she was from over there where there were wild dogs, and she had mange, which they said was contagious to people. And I said, oh my goodness. Cost me, I was only 20, oh my gosh, I was like 21, 22. I maxed out a Citibank card for like $2,000 on her. Took her to vets, and they didn't give me a break, nothing.
I know it. No.
There's your dog. The only thing he said was, find something she's afraid of. She's an Australian Shepherd. She's very anxious and afraid. Find something she's afraid of. Never back down to her. And I found that she was deathly afraid of the vacuum. So I had a dustbuster, and I would count to 3. And I would say, lady, go, you know, like away from the cat or wherever.
Oh, yeah.
Or in the car, like not to eat my leather seats when I was going through toll booths to come to Virginia. So I'd say 1, 2, and she knew 3. That dustbuster was like, and she was like, oh.
Oh, man. Put her in her place.
So I know that love for animal thing. I definitely have it. I had a cat 17 years, found her as a kitten in a box, you know, so yeah.
Well, that's exactly, you know, when I first started this rescue, my husband, I was a stay-at-home mom, and my husband was like, I think if you want to keep funding this whole thing, it's time for you to go back out into the working world. So I went, and I've been working at vet clinics, and I funded it the entire first 5 years just based off my salary, because, you know, it's if you don't, then who will? And if you have the ability to help, then I'm always trying to. And now the rescue is a lot more self-sufficient because we do a lot of fundraising. We do get some big donations, which has been wonderful. We even got our first grant this year. So it's been really wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So so animal control works with you. So a person can call animal control when they see a hurt animal on the road.
Yes.
And then somehow they get to the veterinarian with animal control, and then you guys get a call after the veterinarian fixes them. So how does this work? So the veterinarian donates those hours, and animal control they're funded by the state. How does that work?
Oh, that's a very good question. So that's another one to, you know, touch on. Is animal control is funded by the state, and they will go pick up a lot of the animals. There are certain species that they will not deal with, and it goes county to county. So I can't tell you, you know, what Prince William does is the same that what Fairfax does. It's two different organizations.
So they're
now,
not people, they pick up nice animals. Like you see animal control at somebody's house, they're like, oh, what did they do?
Right. I know. They think it's the dog that bit somebody. Or Well, I have animal control come over and drop stuff off all the time. So in bet, my husband's like, why is there a police officer outside? Animal control.
Yeah, they were great. They were really nice. They were smiling, and they were, you know, they had their boxes, and the girl was so boppy. She was like, look, here, yay, I have my box. And, you know, and they were awesome, absolutely awesome. And yeah, the goose that we rescued, and that's how the whole thing came about. Yeah, the male officer was just like trying to get his wings down, and the rehabber, it just so happened this goose was so lucky that the woman who stopped while I was turning around, she pulled over. She was a rehabber. So yeah,
that is lucky.
This goose was so lucky. A journalist with someone that was going to get wildlife.
That's right. Yeah, it was all set up, wasn't it?
The famous goose.
Yeah.
Just walking across Stringfellow Road with one leg. He was hit. Yeah, he or she, I don't know. I did get an education. So the male goose is called a goose, and the female goose is called a gallander. No, what is she called?
You're asking a mammal person. I call them girl goose and boy goose.
How can you tell the difference?
A bird rehabber will look at them and go, oh, well, that's a female and that's the male. I'm like, how? How do you know?
Yeah.
I just know. And I could do the same with squirrels. I'm like, oh, well, clearly that's a boy. Looks like a boy.
That's wild. So,
my advice with squirrels is if you have to ask, then it's a girl, because you'll know.
Oh, okay. I saw one today. It was so cute. It was running up and down the fence, and this person had on the fence like this, I don't know what it was. It was some kind of dome with steps over her gate, and the squirrel was, you know, going up and down. I'm like, oh, look.
Oh,
little Jim.
Little path. That's cute.
Yeah. So tell us more. So rehabbers that's great experience while they're becoming a veterinarian.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of the veterinarians, again, aren't trained for wildlife. So if you're interested in, you know, veterinary technician classes, veterinary classes, animal control officers, even we really try to push education, because the more you know, the more you can help. Right.
Right.
And and a lot of people will say, you know, there's nothing, let nature take its course. That's what they'll say about most of these animals. But, you know, a lot of this isn't nature. A lot of this is hit by a car, or your pet cat got it, or, you know, your child found some bunnies in the yard and tried to raise them. It's really no longer just predator versus prey. It's all of these other variables that are going into it. So we really want to give an option, a way for you to be able to help when you do find these animals. But so, yes, animal control is a great one for sure.
So there's, does every vet willingly help with wildlife, or just do you have a few key ones?
Few key ones, and that is very important. You will call some vets and they will say, I don't know a thing about those animals, do not bring them here. So it's always important. Any reputable vet should be able to euthanize an animal that's actually suffering.
They charge you.
I'm sorry?
Some of them will charge you. There are other veterinarians that just do it because they work with you guys or they care about animals. And
because they care. Any reputable vet should euthanize them for free, especially if it's something that's suffering and clearly on its way out the door and it's in pain and all of that. So I try to encourage people. I'm sorry?
Can animal control do that when they come?
They can, yes. And they, especially with like
on the road,
they'll call, it will be humanely dispatched. The vets, they take a look at them, and if it's a simple issue, they'll treat it, but some vets don't treat it, they'll just send it to rehab. So, you know, making sure that one of those partner vets or one of them, that's very helpful because they're very good about treating the animals before we get them.
But animal control knows where to go.
They know where to go. They've got it all set up.
So will animal control just take them back sometimes to their place, fix them up with one of their vets, and then bring them out? Because they work with the shelters, right?
Right. So most animal, and again, each district or county has a different animal control policy, but 9 times out of 10, they will not take them back to the facility because they're just not set up for wildlife.
Oh.
So they have to get them out to the proper place.
So when we say wildlife, what kind of animals are we talking about?
Small mammal, which is our bunnies, our possums, our squirrels, mice even on occasion. High risk rabies vectored species. Those are skunks, raccoons, bats, foxes, those kind of, and groundhogs, ones that could carry those scary diseases. They're another one that animal control knows how to deal with. We have our deer, which are kind of a nuisance animal in the technical term. So unless it's a fawn, we're not allowed to rehabilitate them in Virginia. Only spotted fawns. I know, it's heartbreaking. And then we have our reptiles, which are my favorite. We have the turtles and I just released a toad yesterday. So all kinds of fun ones. And then the birds, of course. Those are any bird you find outside is usually a wildlife.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Some of those are interesting. I don't know, a mouse, I'd be like,
oh, you'd be surprised. I've gotten a call about a butterfly before.
Aw.
So you get them all.
The butterfly.
I was like, feed it sugar water. Yeah.
People during COVID-19, it's funny you said the butterfly, because even my sister with her little girls, they just had that kit or something and they grew butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a very good education tool for kids, for sure.
Wow, that's so exciting. And then they let them out into nature. And I had one of our poison control specialists, she did that with her kids, and she's a scientist. And, she wound up, one of the wings didn't open on one of them or something. So she kept it for a while, and then it was fine. And, I don't know.
So cool, but it teaches the kids about the life cycle of the butterflies and how they help pollinate and all that kind of good stuff. So they're fun. They're interesting for the kids. I always support it. I'm like, just, you learn a lot.
That's great. That's great. Do you want to show us one of your friends today?
Of course, I can show you Blue. Here, I'll go get him right now. This is my friend Blue. He is our new education animal, at least for the time being. I received him over a year ago, and he had been painted with some exterior fence paint, and people painted him the color blue. And apparently he was a pet or something, but when they painted him, he got really, really sick. The paint is toxic to them, and it seems like it's just an easy thing to do, but his eyes were swollen, and he had bubbles coming out of his nose. He was very, very sick. He couldn't even open his eyes. And then the paint itself prohibits sunlight from going through the shell, and it blocks UVA and UVB rays, which are what helps them grow. They get the vitamin D just like humans. And so when that happened, he got really stunted, and you can tell he's a little too small, and he was really sick when he got here. And so as much as I've tried over the past year, I cannot get this blue paint off, and it's made to stay on, but I've sandpapered, and we tried acetone, we've tried paint remover, and you have to remember that all those chemicals are really bad for him. Yeah. So We ended up taking sandpaper and sandpapering off some of it enough that sunlight can at least get through. And then, I mean, until that happened, he was sick as a dog. And we were doing medications every other day and x-rays all the time. It was horrible. But here he is. And he's, at this point, non-releasable. He was a pet for so long. I don't really know what happened to him before he got here, that he just can't go back out into the wild. And it's just kind of a sad story for this guy, because he is a big, strong man who wants to be territorial and have his own space, which he certainly runs the place around here. But you know, he can't really get his own food, and you don't know what kind of germs they picked up when they were pets. So he's been sticking around a little bit longer than we thought he would, but he's happy.
You had him about a year?
A little over a year, yeah. And I have some pictures I'll send you of when he first came in. He just looked miserable. And he looks a little angry at me right now, but much healthier, much happier. He has much bigger eyes.
How old is he? Do you know?
You know, it's hard to tell because there was so much damage to his shell, but I would guess around 10 years old. Like, he's a good age. Yeah.
So I see him trying to swim. He swims, right? We see them in the little
land turtle. So he's doing that swimming motion because he's trying to push off, but you can see his little feet are made to be on land. If he had webbing in between them, then that's a big sign that he's an aquatic turtle. But these guys are called eastern box turtles, and he's very handsome. I'll show you his face up close.
He is. Hi, Blue. How are you?
He has those pretty bright eyes, and he has the hard shell, and you'll find them in your garden. You'll find them in the woods, places like that. They're easygoing little guys.
When we find them, right?
Right. So it's best just to leave them be. A lot of the times when you find them in the garden, they're laying eggs. And so a lot of people will pick them up and keep them as pets, but then those eggs don't get laid and they can miscarry and, just, get rid of the eggs because they're like, oh, I'm not where I should be. I'm in a cage. And they kind of have that panic moment. So we want to keep them out. And these guys, I mean, their numbers are dropping so fast because they're getting hit by cars and run over by lawnmowers and all these horrible things. And that's what we get most of them in for. And even chewed up by dogs. And you can see that Blue has a little chip at the top of his shell where he was kind of chewed on by somebody. But sometimes they do really well. They recover really well and they can go right back out into the wild. And other times when, again, if they're kept as pets or, they're missing something that's vital to survival in the wild, will end up either the state says you have to euthanize them or keep them as education animals. So you can see our stance on it. We decided to keep Blue around.
Very good. Blue looks pretty happy to me.
Yeah, he's a little angry to be on video right now, but
oh no,
he has his outdoor playpen, so he's a little spoiled.
Oh, okay. So he has an outdoor one and an indoor one.
Oh yeah.
How many turtles do you have right now?
I have 6 in rehabilitation right now, and Blue. That doesn't include Blue. And we have one was hit with a weed whacker, one was chewed up by a dog, one got stuck in netting, in landscape netting, and was stuck there for weeks before they actually found him. And he was just really underweight now and dehydrated. But I mean, these guys are built to survive. They bounce back. So as long as you give them that care, they really do turn around pretty easily.
That's great. So what other friends do you have today?
Oh my gosh. So we have baby bunnies, we have possums, we have squirrels. And again, I can send you all the good photos of our little friends that we have. And sometimes, like, our squirrel friend was caught by a cat, so he has to be on antibiotics. And those antibiotics are something that he has to be on for 2 weeks. So he has to stay with us until he finishes the course and he's healthy again.
Then you'll let him back out where you found him, or how does that work?
Not with him. Some animals we do return exactly to where they came from, but when it's something like a squirrel and he was attacked by a cat, I'd rather not put him back where the cat is still currently at. So we're going to relocate him to a different area, and squirrels really do adapt really well to that. If it were the turtle, they are a little more territorial, and he would be going back to where he came from. So it all depends on the species.
So what about, I know the kids are probably saying, what about the squirrel's family?
I know. And that's tough. With the best thing we could do for them is get them into a new environment that is a lot healthier and has less predators. That way we don't have to stress about future generations. But if it's a mom squirrel, this is a boy squirrel. But if it were a female and I thought that she had babies, we would be on the lookout. We'd go and I'd tell exactly what the nest looks like to the people who found it. And usually they can grab up the babies because it's that time of year and they'll bring them over. Babies and mama can go together. It's fine by us.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So how many rehabilitators do you have in the area, would you say?
I personally work with about 25. Our organization, A.E.R.O, has 5 at the moment, but Wildlife Rescue League, I mean, all over the state we're working. So it's really whoever, can help out. We try to provide support. We give formula, syringes, nipples, things like that you really need to care for the animals with. And the 5 rehabbers specifically that I work with, we do a lot of the fundraising and stuff like that for as well. The Wildlife Rescue League, if you are a rehabber, they are great. They provide all kinds of supplies and classes and the helpline, which, I mean, taking phone calls from the public, I get about 30 phone calls a day. So you can imagine how much it helps to have the helpline taking some of that off my plate.
Plus your recordings are wonderful. You learn about, on your hotline, you learn about each animal and you can press, the right number. And, I learned about baby birds yesterday.
That's right. You can sit there and go through all of them if you'd like.
What'd you say?
You could go through every single species if you like, learn something new.
That would be great. So tell us something about the baby bunnies, because that's your favorite. So if you see a hurt baby bunny.
The baby bunnies are my favorite because they're also the most difficult to raise. I swear to you, out of all of the animals, baby bunnies are hard. Bunnies in general, they're a prey animal. So they have a really high heart rate. And sometimes when they're caught by an animal, their tactic to make life easier for them is to die. And it sounds horrible. So we always get those kids who find the baby bunnies and they try and keep them as pets, or your cat caught a baby bunny and it's just so stressed that they don't make it. So it's a challenge. I like them because it's a challenge. After a couple of years, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this right. There has to be a formula for this. And I've done my best. And my rate of survival is pretty good with baby bunnies, knock on wood. But I just think that unfortunately, they die very easily. And it's sad because they are the cutest babies. They are the cutest little things in the world. So when you get them to grow and live and oh my gosh, they're just so cute. And when they eat, they put their little paws up and they knead on your hand. Oh, I love them. They're so cute. And they're quick. So it's like a 2-week process and they're out the door. They're ready to be released, from little tiny newborn to little softball sized fluffy bunny.
And do you put them back where you found them, near where you found them?
Not with bunnies, unless somebody specifically asks. We like to release them together in a spot. I do a soft release, which means they'll go out into a pen that has an exit door that's just small enough for a bunny to get out, because sometimes for the first few days, they're going to go out and eat and come back at night and sleep until they build their own nest. The same with the squirrels. I like to give them that chance to make their own house before we kind of just dump them in the woods. We want them to have some stability, some food, so that they can slowly acclimate to the area. And I like to do that in a group setting with them. So I'll get a bunny from Fairfax and a bunny from Prince William and 5 from Fauquier, and they'll all go together and create their little bunny colony.
Aw, that's so sweet. Now, if they go out by you and they don't come back after they go through the little door, then they're just somewhere in the woods near you. They may come back as adults and be like, hi.
I see them all the time. Every single morning I sit out back and drink my coffee and have a huge field in my backyard and I just watch them.
I was telling Casey yesterday, nature meditation is the best that people can do, even now during COVID.
Absolutely. Just sitting out back, watching the birds, looking at my bunnies. It's really nice. And squirrels too. Squirrels know where I live. If I don't refill that bird feeder, they'll come knocking on the door.
Oh, that's so cute.
They're really cute.
So I gather your husband's an animal lover.
Oh, he is now. He likes a dog or a cat, but the wildlife, he's happy to take them and put them in the incubator and tell me hey, there's somebody dropped off some bunnies for you. That's where it ends.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And your son, does he help out?
Oh, he's wonderful. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter, not an animal person. My son is me. He'll come in and he does all the dishes. He'll clean all the cages. He sings to the little baby bunnies. It's perfect. Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
She's going to be 12 this year.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And she's, you know, we're going on vacation next week. She's like, you're not going to be bringing any animals with us, right?
Oh, she's at that age.
Yeah. Because I do it, it's not cool.
When we go on vacation, my kids say, so could you not talk to everybody and tell them about Teen Say and do a Teen Say interview? And I'm like, I promise. So I really tried this year. But of course, the 15-year-old's like, oh my gosh, I'm a great skateboarder and I have all kinds of awards for Ocean City. And I'm like, oh no.
We have to.
That's our next story.
Oh, see, yeah, and your kids will never appreciate it till they get older, but I'm sure they, you know, when they get older, they'll be really impressed with it. That's my hope.
Right. Well, I love the work you're doing. Thank you for the work you're doing. We want to hear more from you. We would love to stay in touch with you and have our kids, you know, for all the kids out there in Fairfax County and all over the counties, anyone that sees this, I hope they, you know, contact you to learn more and get involved.
Please do. There is so much need for volunteers. I can't keep repeating that enough. Like caregiving, fundraising, you know, answering phone calls, transporting is another one. If you have the driver's license, 16-year-olds, getting the animals from the vet to our house. You know, I have so many animals here, I don't have the time to make those trips every day. And the volunteers that can really help out with that, it's amazing. And you get to see all the wildlife. You can't handle them, but it's enough to be like, oh, little bunnies, or, you know, you get the cool crows or the owls. And I'm always like, man, I should transport. I want to see the eagles and all of that stuff that goes out. But yeah, it's always really
a lot of eagles.
I do not. I would like to, but I am not set up for eagles. That's one step farther than I've gone yet.
But you have a rehabilitator or a rehabber. You call them rehabbers, right? Not
rehabbers. Dr. Belinda Burwell. She's in. She's out in Bluemont or some area out there, down 66, and she takes all of it. The cool owls and the eagles and the crows. I'm always really impressed by what she can do.
Yeah. So you have sanctuaries too, right?
Right.
So are your places called the sanctuaries or no? So
I call my house a facility. One of the other rehabbers all work. You have to have a room and space dedicated just to the animals. It's very important when you become a rehabber. You can't have it set up in your living room where you're hanging out all day, because these animals are so stressed, and the TV and the barking dog and all of that can just add to that stress. So they have to be far away. So we took the main office in the house and turned it into a wildlife area, and I have caging and you know, my turtles set up behind me, and then outside we also have some caging and stuff. And again, I'll send you tons of pictures in it. You know, each of us have made our own facility.
And then, so tell us about the sanctuaries in Virginia.
So there's a bunch, and basically any wildlife preserve, as long as you talk to that county's representative with the parks, you can usually release the animals on those sites, which has been really nice. And
you do a lot of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every animal that comes into my facility is going to go to release. That's my end goal. None of them are pets. None of them are just dropped out the door. They all have a specific spot that they're going to release, and it's really set up to benefit the animal, like what's safest for the animal, and what's going to best benefit them. So we do have a lot of, you know, private and public people who just have a lot of land, and they're saying, come on over, release animals on my property. I'd love it. And also the parks are another one that have been really supportive. And then there are some smaller like farmlands and stuff like that. And you just have to really talk to the owners and get permission and tell them what you're doing. And once you do, especially with some of the, you know, the bigger the birds or the raccoons and things that eat the little mice that are chewing at their crops and stuff like that, they're like, yeah, come release the foxes on my property. That'd be great.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of fox calls?
Yes, quite a few. And a lot of them are mange, you know, the hair loss people will see, or a broken paw. I will say that foxes are the most difficult animals to trap, and they have to be trapped to be able to be treated. We can't just medicate them out in the wild. And some people will try, and it's best to get them caught. But once you get them in captivity, I mean, they are just the cutest little things. I adore them. And raccoons are another one. Just,
Really?
I think they're the smartest animals. I have a field day with them. They're so cute.
I heard from a pest control guy that he, usually goes after the raccoons, and he was telling terrible stories about when he tries to capture them. And
I bet I have met, so if you get them when they're little and they still need a bottle and they're just little puppies that can climb. They're so sweet. And then when they finally release, it's like this joyous occasion. It's really nice because they're just curious and they wander off and you're like, okay, I did it, But man, you get those adults who have been hit by a car or something and they're angry and they're in pain and they want nothing to do with you. It's like trying to work with a big dog or something. But once they realize
that's cranky, right?
Right. But once they realize that you're here to help, honestly, they all really do come around and they know like, okay, well, she's going to give me that medication again. It's going to help, and you can tell they kind of like go with it after a while.
Oh, that's great. And older people that have nothing going on right now and can't see their grandkids, maybe they can help.
There is nobody better than if you're retired and you have the time to work with the animals. That's exactly what we need. Birds are a big need. We have maybe 2 or 3 bird rehabbers in Northern Virginia. It's not a lot. And one of our bird rehabbers, the one who is my go-to for every bird call, is 83 years old. So we're trying to let her retire, but we're like, we can't go anywhere yet. We need somebody to replace you first. Yeah. But she just is like a wealth of knowledge and, always picks up the phone, always patient, always nice. And, it's hard to find somebody like that. So
you go to the schools, right?
Yep, I do. I do education classes and I try and teach kids, like if you find a baby bunny, what to do. If you find an injured turtle, what to do with it, that kind of stuff. Just, I always say keep them quiet, dark, calm space, get them on heat, give us a call. But, we could teach all triage classes to vet clinics, or I can go into a 2nd grade classroom and just teach about what animal is what. Don't touch these ones and don't feed this. And, bunnies are not pets, those kind of things.
Well, the rehabber that stopped for the goose said, make sure you tell people to call us, not to try and catch them on their own.
Yes, that's a big one.
Control, because they may not know your website, but we are going to put up your website. But,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yep. The more information we can get out there, the better. Because, we don't want
to, right? Animal Education Rescue Organization.
Yep, that's right. And we really do, we want to be as much help as we can because we don't want the public to get hurt trying to capture an animal or, do the, feed it the wrong thing, those kind of things. And we do see
try and bombard their vet because they're not going to be able to get it into a vet, odds are.
Right, right. And the vets, they just don't have even the equipment to restrain some of these animals to do an exam on them. So it really is something that it's a specialty. It's, we're volunteers, but we are specialty volunteers.
That's awesome. So
definitely best to try and get them to a rehabber if you can.
Wow, we love what you do. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Yeah, no problem. This is fun.
Yeah, it was great. We want to definitely talk to you again. I love animals. The kids love animals. I definitely want to talk to you again. So, and it's not just for little kids. The teenagers are like, so for instance, my son is 18. I'm 19. He just turned 19. And his girlfriend, they were outside on my deck, and I had a nest that was on our hockey net on top of our hot tub. And there was a baby bird, and the mom fed the baby bird. And she was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that in person. They were so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's awesome because that's exactly what it should be doing. And we get calls sometimes just saying, I have baby birds here. I see a mom. Is this okay? And they'll kind of explain the situation. And I'm happy to sit down and talk to them and be like, absolutely, this is what you should look for in case something's wrong. Keep your cat inside for a couple weeks here. Right. Give them a little how-to. But any kids that are interested, bring it on because we definitely need the help.
Yeah. So as far as the bird goes, we have 2 shepherds. We told them no. and they didn't, they didn't go up and bother the birds. They knew it was no. And thank God we have smart dogs.
That's right.
Because they could have easily taken the steps on the hot tub and grabbed.
Oh, yeah.
But they were good. They did not, but if one flies in, they'll fly after it. But this bird and the babies, they didn't touch. It was wild. They're both females. So I don't
You
know.
said no.
Yeah, or because they're female and they're smart and they're like, oh, that's a mommy bird. I don't know. So, they know. Yeah. I would like to think my dogs are brilliant, but
Of course.
it only took a few weeks for them to be hatched and then to go.
It's so fast sometimes. I think of my children, like 18 years. That's a long time considering like the bunny is 2 weeks and the bird is like 3 weeks and,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All of a
each
sudden, the
one is
mommy
different.
bird and the baby bird's just gone. And
I know.
Wait, where did they go?
They pledge.
Yeah. And we didn't bother them. It was so fun. We took lots of pictures. So.
Oh, yeah. Just take the pictures. It's so like, and I always post it on Facebook and then like 3 years later, I'll be like, oh, remember that nest of baby birds,
And people love them during their day. I see a lot of people now during COVID-19 just posting animal pictures.
I know.
Bunnies especially.
Therapeutic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really great to go out there early in the morning and hear the birds singing, for sure.
I couldn't agree more. It really is.
And Alexa has an app, birds singing. So you could ask Alexa, morning birds singing, and Alexa has an app.
I have to look that up so that I can hear my birds. There we go.
And there's something else Alexa does. So since you're an educator, you're going to love this, especially your son. So every morning, if you say, Alexa, good morning, she will tell you the fact of the day.
Oh, I will try that. Interesting. The things you learn.
Yeah.
And you should tell me the weather, but that's as far as we've gotten.
No, she tells you the fact of the day. It's pretty neat.
Oh, that is neat. All right. We'll give that a try too.
Well, thank you, Olivia. Is there anything you want to share with us before we go?
Oh, I don't think there's anything else than my plea for volunteers. And if you have questions, reach out to a rehabilitator before trying to help an animal. Just reach out to make sure we're all on the same page and you got the right idea.
Yeah, you have lists on your website.
Absolutely. There's tons of great information out there. So if you have questions, there is an answer.
Your hotline calls right back.
That's right. Exactly. Leave a voicemail on the Wildlife Rescue League helpline. I know it's if you have an emergency, you hit this turtle with a car and you're panicked, they really are there listening to voicemails. So leave the voicemail and you will get a return call.
Yeah, very promptly. I was impressed. So.
Yeah, very good.
Well,
Good to hear.
Good. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.